It's been 7 hours and 16 days since you took your love away. I go out every night and sleep all day since you took your love away. Since you've been gone, I can do whatever I want. I can see whoever I choose. I can eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant, but nothing can take away these blues, 'cause nothing compares to you. It's been so lonely without you here, like a bird without a song. Nothing can stop these lonely tears from falling. Tell me, where did I go wrong? I can throw my arms around any girl I choose, but it just reminds me of you. Went to the doctor and guess what he told me? He said, boy, you better try to have fun no matter what you do. But he's a fool, 'cause nothing compares to you. Yeah. All the flowers that you planted, Mama, in your backyard, all died when you went away. I know living with me is sometimes hard, but I'm willing to give it another try. 'Cause nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. To you. To you.
Hello, my name is Jeremy. And welcome everyone, and thank you for all being here today as we share in the celebration of life for our beloved Eli. First, I've been asked to express a family's gratitude and appreciation for you all being here present. The pain that we experience when we lose a loved one is a heavy burden, often an unbearable one. This burden should not be carried alone, and being surrounded by friends and loved ones reminds us that we are indeed not alone. Eli was born into this world. He lived his life. His life touched our lives. He forever imprinted his memory onto our hearts, and his spirit is now free. While Eli was with us, he gave us wonderful gifts of kindness, graciousness, and acceptance. His smile was contagious, and he appreciated a big hug. He truly possessed a childlike ability to bring barrels of love. While not every moment was easy and not every memory was etched in gold, Eli never held back its warmth. What a special and sacred moment this is, when we can let tears flow and allow laughter to heal. I mean, when it comes to Eli, there were plenty of times that kid inspired one heck of a laugh. He did. He did some silly things, and he put himself in some crazy situations, and there was never a dull moment with Eli. However, Eli also had his struggles, and they were very real and often hard to watch. In the time that I knew Eli, I had the pleasure of being a brother in recovery, a sponsor, and his friend. I often joked with him that every time I'd be praying, asking for direction on what I should be doing or who I need to be helping, my phone would ring, and it would be Eli calling me to say, "JJ, I need your help." Seems like God used that kid to help save my life and help me to heal from my own demons. It just comes to show that, sober or not, God has a profound way of rendering us and our stories and powerful tools that he can then use us to help bring more of his children back to grace and eventually where they belong, home with him. I believe that everyone has been given the gift to serve a purpose, and I believe Eli was no exception. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we are never truly lost. Even running from the light of God doesn't mean, that we are in darkness. It just means the light will have to shine on our back until we turn around so that it can shine directly into our face. In recovery, the miracle happens when one person helps the other. Whether you're already an active member or you're seeking help, it's always one person helping the other. The active member must give it away in order to keep it, and the person seeking help must accept what is being given in order to obtain it. This is the foundation of our entire program, one person helping another. I believe that Eli was a part of this miracle and that he served his purpose. He taught us how to be selfless in service. He showed us what a gift sobriety is. He showed us what it means to love someone unconditionally. He brought attention to the real struggles of mental health, and he reminds us that you can't truly love someone if you're too busy judging them. And I loved Eli. He helped me be a better man. He taught me that I still need to grow, that I can never give up, and I always have to keep coming back. In short, Eli helped another. I will take these gifts that Eli gave me, and I will go and give them to another. One person helping another. The gift of hope, selflessness, and love. Truly, there is no greater gift than unconditional love. For that, I honor Eli. And with that said, I'd like to invite Pat to now come up here so he can share a few words.
Good afternoon. My name's Pat, and I'm an alcoholic. You know, I wrote this speech, and it's about three-inch font here, and so I'm going to be turning my pages here, and so that I apologize. First, I'd like to offer my deepest condolences and sympathy to the Lawson and Anderson families. You have been in my prayers. I'd also like to thank Vanessa Johnson and her family. Vanessa stepped up immediately following Eli's passing, helping in any way she could in a very difficult situation. From the moment we received the phone call, she got out of bed and drove to the hospital and has been by Julia's side ever since. She opened her home and her heart, working tirelessly to make all this come together for today, including setting up the GoFundMe and coordinating everything that goes along with it. Within 2 days, we had funds to make all this possible. Vanessa, on behalf of everyone here today, including Eli, I thank you and your family from the bottom of my heart. I love you. also like to thank the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Without all your support, this wouldn't have been possible. I'd like to start off and share a section out of the big book that always stood out to me ever since Eli came into my life. Of course, it's chapter 5, my favorite. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a way of life which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave and emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. In the beginning of our relationship, I noticed Eli at meetings, and we'd talk from time to time, sharing stories about our path to sobriety. One day he showed up at a campfire meeting at my house. This particular meeting ended up being his home group, and it was a very close group, very small, close group of guys that loved Eli and that wouldn't judge him. It was clear to me from the beginning that Eli was a good kid. Our relationship grew. He asked me to be a sponsor. During our conversations about his sobriety, he would also talk to me about his struggles with mental health. I would suggest to him to seek outside help, and he would. After some time on his medication, I'd see a positive change for a while. However, this was short-lived, as he would ultimately end up in a state of depression that continued to grow. We all know, as alcoholics and addicts, when we are in pain and we're in our addiction, we numb ourselves. This continued the vicious circle that Eli faced. He hated to be loaded, and he couldn't stand himself when he was sober. Over the years, Eli took over 50 newcomer chips, but he would never give up. Countless rehabs, and he wouldn't quit, always coming back. The disease took him through various cycles of substance abuse, sobriety, and depression that seemed impossible for him to get away from. When most people relapse in this program, they often disappear for long periods of time, avoiding any interaction that would force them to address their perceived failures. No matter how hard or how fast he fell, he was right back at my house, fighting through the pain and the embarrassment of starting over. Because again, he never gave up on recovery. In the program, we call this incomprehensible demoralization. Behind the wall, behind the pain, and behind the struggles he faced, Eli was just like the rest of us. He wanted all the same things we want. He absolutely loved his wife, Julia. She was his world in every possible way you can imagine. The love these two shared was something I didn't even know was possible. All he ever wanted was to make her proud and be the man that he knew she deserved. He wanted to buy her a house so they could raise a family. He wanted to be a lineman so he could support her. He wanted to be sober so he could love her unconditionally. Eli loved taking Julie on hikes and weekend getaways to the mountains. I'd ask him to call me whenever he got there, which would usually be a text picture of him in a room, a hot tub in the background with his thumb up in the air. You know, the funny thing is I'd never see Julie in the background, so go figure that out, right? He loved and adored his family and siblings. They meant the world to him. And even if he never knew how to say it, all he ever wanted was to make them proud. He loved to skateboard and chop it up with his friends. He loved to smile, and he just loved to be happy. Speaking of his smile, when Eli would walk into a room smiling, it was infectious. It would light up the whole entire room. He would smile so hard it would close his eyes even when he was sober. When he'd smile, all I could feel was love. His smile was his way of showing the world the happiness he was always searching for. Eli had a 1-2 punch. First he would smile, and then he would come in for the world-famous Eli hug. This wasn't any ordinary hug, definitely the best I ever had. He would come up to you and hug you under your arms with a firm yet uncomfortable grip, holding on just long enough to make it awkward at first, right? But by the time he let go, you felt the love head to toe. His hug was his way of showing the world how he wanted to be loved. Thanks, sponsor, too. But the best moment with Eli is when it was just me and Eli at my house sitting at the table, working steps and talking about God. He'd often lean over and place his head on my shoulder, and you could feel the love radiate through the whole entire room. I'll never forget those moments. Don't get me wrong, being Eli's sponsor was a pain in the butt. I couldn't even tell you how long I sponsored Eli because it seemed like a life sentence. It was compiled by many stressful and sleepless nights, wondering if I'd ever hear from him again. At the end of the day, I can honestly say Eli helped me in more ways than I was able to help him. I cherished being his sponsor, and I wouldn't change anything. About 2 weeks before Eli passed, I was in an AA panel when I received a text from Eli that I couldn't understand. I walked out of the facility to call him. I could barely understand him, what he was trying to say, but I jumped in my truck and I headed his way. When I got to his location, he was in bad shape, and I was afraid I was going to lose him right then. I took steps to save him, and I stayed with him until he was safe. He gave me his wallet and asked me to hold on to it, and he would call me tomorrow. 2 days later, Eli showed up at my house unannounced, and he was in terrible shape. And for the first time in 7 years, I lost my temper with him, told him to leave. I shut the door, went inside, wiping away the tears away, and I called sponsor number 2. I explained to him what happened and how terrible I felt. And he explained to me that subconsciously I was trying to give Eli a resentment because that's all I had left to give. He told me that it probably wouldn't work, but I was out of options. I didn't hear from Eli for a week and a half. I was devastated to think that it was possibly the last time I'd ever see or talk to him, but thank God I was wrong. He called me in tears, and we were able to apologize and share our love for each other. Then he gave me the plan, because remember, he never gives up. He told me he was going straight into the detox and then into the Salvation Army. That was the last time I ever talked to my buddy Eli. And it was the last lesson he ever taught me. The lesson was, what right do I or any of us in recovery have to get upset at somebody that has not yet received the blessings that God has given us? We all know Eli wasn't perfect. He struggled in many ways that most of the world couldn't see or understand, but he also had a heart of gold and the courage to never give up. No matter how impossible things seemed, he inspired me in ways that I can't put into words, and ultimately made me a better person, brought me closer to my God, and for that I'll always be grateful. I loved Eli like a son and Julia like a daughter. Over the years, we all built a relationship based on love and trust that I wouldn't trade anything in the world for. Today, I choose to celebrate Eli's life because I know exactly where he is. He's in heaven with God and the late, great Pete DeLuca, smiling down on all of us and laughing at me. And he's saying, I knew you would. You see, over the years, I never lied to over the years, I never lied to Eli until today, because I told him several times, if he stayed on the road that you're on, you're going to die, Eli. And I wouldn't come to your funeral. Well, that's it, little buddy. I miss you and I love you. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Gotta bring this guy down. I'm not quite as tall as Pat. Hi, everyone. I'm Logan. For those of you who don't know me. So I knew Eli for about 4 years now, but we didn't really become close until the past couple of months, and I really regret that. I just want to say, Julia, that I'm so sorry. The love you two shared, him always talking about you. Like Pat said, I feel like every time he tried, he was trying for you. He was trying for his future family. So I've been praying for you and your family and Eli's family, and I'll continue to do that every day. I know he's going to hate this because he never could take a compliment, and I'm about to heap him up, right? Just like Pat. And he really did, he did struggle. Eli struggled through a lot of his life. He struggled for 7 years to get sober. But he never once gave up. He never once quit or said, this is it, I'm giving in. He'd come back to our Wednesday group that Pat was talking about, and he was open and he was honest, and he would tell on himself, and he'd start right on the path again. And I've never seen the likes of that. His determination was out of this world. He was humble. He was humble in his failures. He was humble in his successes. If you gave Eli a compliment for something that he did well and he knew he did well, he'd just shake it off. He wouldn't even accept it. Our men's group on Wednesday, when we talk about Eli, we have two things that we talk about. We talk about his smile and his hugs. Pat hammered on both of them already. That smile right there, the one that closes his eyes. You can see it. You can see the love and the joy in his eyes, and it really did radiate. It touched everybody who saw it. If you get one of those rare Eli smiles that it touches your heart. And another thing was his hugs. Like Pat said, he really grasped on, he held on tight, he squeezed. Sometimes he'd rest his head on your shoulder. And he didn't do it just because that was the thing to do. He didn't hug because other people hugged. He didn't hug because somebody told him to hug. He hugged because he felt it in his heart, and you could tell that there was a connection there. He was building something with you. There was something inside of Eli that you don't see in other people. There was something really, truly special. A couple of months ago, we went to church together, and we have a prayer group in the back, and they ask that you come up if you need any prayers or any healing or anything like that. And Eli asked me if he should go back and tell him that he's struggling with drugs. I was like, yeah, why the hell not? That sounds like a great idea. So he comes back a couple minutes later, and he's bawling. And then I start crying, and we're just sitting there in a room full of people just crying our eyes out. And he hugged me, and he rested his head on my shoulder. And the vulnerability that he showed there, the love that he showed there, the openness and the willingness to change and to do something about it. I'll never forget that moment. That one will live with me forever. And I know that I'm not the only one he's touched like that. I mean, this room is testament to that. He touched everybody he met. His kind heart, his joy, and his love, it'll be felt forever. Although Eli's life was short, his impact will live with us forever until the day we die. And I know now he's resting with the Lord. He's struggled, but he doesn't have to struggle anymore. He finally gets to rest. And I know he wouldn't want us to feel bad or feel sorry for him. But I'm trying to choose today to be happy for his life and not to grieve over his death. Because he wouldn't want that from us. He'd want us to go on a hike. He'd want us to get outside. He'd want us to do something for ourselves. My only regret is that I didn't know him better, that I didn't know him longer. So thanks.
My name is Ron. Wow, it's an honor to stand up here and celebrate the life of an amazing young man. I had the pleasure of knowing Eli on a couple different capacities. I was his sponsee brother, his sober buddy, his boss sometimes, and most importantly, he was a good friend of mine. And as friends, we talked a lot about different things than the other three capacities. At one point when he was struggling in rehab, I told him, F it, brother, sneak out and I'll come get you right now, and you're gonna live with me for a few months, but you're gonna be watched 24/7. I was dead serious, and Eli was semi on board too. Well, that didn't happen for good reason, and it was a terrible idea anyway. But I was willing to do everything I could to see my friend get healthy and happy. One thing I truly admired about Eli was his courage and tenacity about the program. It takes an enormous amount of humility to keep coming back over and over again. And most of the time he did it with a smile, gratitude, and that infectious hug that we keep talking about. He taught me an amazing lesson, and the rest of us too, to never stop trying. Eli's hugs were genuine and contagious, as was he. Man, was his smile contagious. When I used to pick him up to go to work in the morning at Kim's house, I could tell immediately his demeanor when he stepped out the door and how he was feeling. When he smiled, it could go either way. He could be happy or sad because he hid his feelings a lot. We used to say to each other in the truck, our day is going to be joyous and free. And a few weeks later, we started praying about it before we left the truck. God was another thing we talked about a lot. I had trouble at the beginning of my sobriety finding God of my own understanding, and Eli helped me with that. And thankfully, within the last few months, I tried to help Eli with his God and getting back in touch with his spirituality. We used to listen to my music in the truck because Eli's music was not allowed. I used to play this song called Someone by Aaron Lewis a lot. Eli at first hated that song, and he started catching on to the lyrics, and a few of the lyrics say this: I'm damaged goods, I'm complicated, I sure do know how to tell a lie. I wasn't perfect, you were patient, I didn't know what you were waiting for. I swear I must have found an angel sent from heaven's door. After a while, we started singing the chorus together because someone else would have walked away, someone else would have never stayed. Sure as hell, someone else would have left me a long, long time ago. Someone else would have called my bluff, saying I ain't worth their love. No one else could have loved me like you do. Thank God my someone's you. At that point, neither one of us lived at home, and we would speak a lot about how we were both wanted to move back home, and we would do everything we could to put our best foot forward to make living amends to our wives. Eli spoke a lot about his faults, and he wanted to be a great man and a husband to Julia. There was an enormous amount of love and honor for you, Julia, in Eli's heart. As a sponsee brother, we used to talk a lot of shit about our sponsor at the time, which was Pat. I can tell you one thing, though. He loved and cherished Pat. Eli was also a big dreamer. We worked in wine country for a few weeks, and a company, Sturgeon Electric, was replacing a bunch of power poles along Rancho California Road. And Eli talked about wanting to go back into that business again. I asked him what he wanted to do when he started working for Sturgeon, and we just happened to drive by 3 guys standing on the ground looking up in the air. And Eli said, "See those guys looking up? I want to be that guy they're looking up to." Well, I guess he did it. We have a guardian angel in heaven that we can look up to now. One of our last conversations we had said was he was proud of me. It's not often in life where a friend that struggles themselves will praise you for your achievements. And that's who Eli was, a heart of gold and a kind soul. I told him one of these days, "Man, your story is going to save a lot of people's and families' lives. You're going to be an amazing sponsor, an amazing gift from God to the program." Eli's favorite meeting was Pete's Pit at Pat's house. That meeting hasn't been, and it will never be the same without them too. But I'm sure they're hanging out in heaven together right now, watching over us. God has graced us with the gift of 2 amazing men with hearts of gold as our spiritual sponsors now. So with that, I'd like to end in a prayer. Let us find peace and comfort today and pray as Eli and Pete watch down upon us as our guardian angels. Heavenly Father, I ask for your divine guidance and wisdom to be sent through my guardian angel. May they give me strength and courage to take on life's challenges with a mindset of discernment. Open my heart and mind so that I may recognize the signs from your angels that are meant to guide me through difficult times. Let me trust in their wise counsel and make decisions based on divine insight. Thank you, Lord, for sending me these angelic assistants. In your holy name I pray, amen.
This is terrifying. My name's Jake, and good God. I had the honor and the privilege of knowing Eli since back in 2018 when I took my first go at sobriety, and I watched him struggle for a long time, and I don't know, everybody's really hit home, everything that I really have to say about him. I mean, the guy, Eli had balls of steel. I don't know if I can say balls in church, but I'm going to do it. But that man, I know going into a meeting after going out, after having a decent stint of sobriety, and going back out to do some research and development, thinking I can drink and use like a normal person again, it gets worse, never better, and I know that I was terrified to go back to certain meetings. Shame, guilt, I know that Eli dealt with that, but that kid never, ever let that stop him from going back, And how true it is that I forget who it was that just said it, but that like, who are we, to pass judgment on somebody, right? Who are we to get so on our high horses, because we've been given the gift of sobriety, lasting sobriety, for somebody else that's out there still struggling, And I just put a few bullet points down. First of all, I just want to thank everybody, I know I'm sure a lot of you guys, especially family, have known Eli a lot longer than I have, but I spent a lot of time getting really close to that young man, and I'm really stoked to see this turnout, It was funny standing outside watching them wheel more and more chairs in. I was like, good God, it's just really cool to see that this many people showed up to show love and support. And Julia, we love you. I've had the honor to be close in a sponsorship family and to get to watch the love that's been poured out on you. And Eli's love for you was incredible. I honestly can say I don't think I've ever seen the action of unconditional love, and it's pretty incredible. Like I said, I watched Eli since late 2018, struggle in and out. I too got a chance briefly to sponsor him, Pat. Probably one of the biggest headaches I've ever had. But you know, I came to a point where I decided, I mean, he would show up hell or high water to a meeting, drunk, loaded, it didn't matter, right? But he would be there, you know, and that's something I'm incapable of doing, you know. I can't believe, like, the courage that he had to walk in fearless of what others thought about him, you know, because he knew there was a solution. He knew that there was a solution, and just because he wasn't able to grasp it and hold on to it didn't mean that he didn't know it was there. And his smile, you know, that's like the main thing I remember about Eli. The awkward hugs, for sure. The awkward hugs, I can relate to that. He'd put his face in my neck sometimes because he was a little bit shorter than me. And it was always after he would shave, and that was the first time I've ever felt a man's, like, 5 o'clock shadow on my neck. And I was okay with it, you know. You know, I can think back to being out of town with our sponsor, Jeremy, and then working with him, and Eli calling. And I think it was like 1:30 in the morning, and you know, he's talking about a million miles a minute, dude, but he was so excited, right? He was like, hey, I screwed up again. I'm like, okay. But he just, like, wanted to sit there and just talk, and I'm like, you know, like, dude, I got to be up for work in like 3 hours, but I don't know, man. It's just, I hope, and I wish that at some point in this life that I can have the determination and continue the determination that young man had for keeping coming back, right? A lot of us in program know that we're not guaranteed a seat, you know, and I was lucky enough to make it back and to get to love on Eli and be an even, you know, closer part of his life over the last year, you know. I know for sure, without a doubt, that Eli believed in a God that is much bigger than all of us, and I hope that those of us who are here that loved him, along with Julia, can find peace in the fact that Eli would not want us sitting here crying and mourning. I know he wouldn't. And I saw Julia post something like not that long ago about always taking pictures of him doing really dangerous stuff on hikes. And I can remember a few times of him telling me, like, how long they would stay out there trying to take the picture, you know? And it's just funny, man. Eli he was a nut, you know? But I guess I'll close with this. I don't know if I'm rambling at this point. And I pulled something out of the big book also from How It Works. And granted, this is while, you know, we're working on ourselves in order to get this thing done right. But I think it, you know, with the passing of Eli, it holds a new meaning for me. And it's, for now we are on a different basis of trusting and relying upon God. We trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We're in a world to play the role he assigns just to the extent that we do as we think he would have us, and humbly rely on him. Does he enable us to match calamity with serenity? We never apologize to anyone for depending upon our Creator, which Eli never did. We can laugh at those who think spirituality is a way of weakness. Paradoxically, it is the way of strength. The verdict of the ages is that faith means courage. All men of faith have courage, just like Eli did. And we never apologize for God. Instead, we let him demonstrate through us what he can do, you know. And I will use this, and I hope that you do too, Julia, you know, to not let his death go in vain, you know. And I just want to thank you guys all for letting me come up here and for letting me be a part of this. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean. It's wonderful to be here and see everybody out here doing justice to Eli's memory. You know, I was kind of taken aback by all the conversations about Eli's hug. I thought I was the only one. I really did. I thought I was going to be unique in putting that out there. Turns out Eli had more love than I knew about. I've known Eli for about 6 years now. And, when he first came into my life, he was a very unique character. Eli he was so vulnerable and so tender and so sweet. It's not something you typically see, not something I typically saw. And the way that he would warm up to me and talk with me from the very beginning, it was something that I just found so endearing. And, each time that Eli would go back out and hurt himself and others, it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely heartbreaking for me to see. Other people have spoke about the tenacity, the courage that he had to keep coming back. And that was something that, I didn't see often. It was spoke about the people that would, be riddled with shame and guilt and not be willing to come back and receive the gift of recovery once again. And Eli absolutely wanted it. He wanted it more than anybody I know. And why he wasn't allowed to get it, I'll never know. I don't think any of us want to be here today. The reality is I don't think any one of us wanted to be here. We didn't choose this. We would have chose to be anywhere else. And the fact that we are here is a testament to just what Eli meant to us in our lives. None of us thought that this was a great idea. And every one of us feared that this day would come. And the fact that we're here today is for me a testament to what he did in my life. Some of us knew Eli better than others, but regardless of how well we knew Eli, it only took, one of his two under hugs, those tender hugs, where he laid his head into your chest, to know just what a lover he was. It only took one conversation to know what a genuinely sweet man he was. It only took one of those goofy laughs that he had to be drawn into his attractive personality. One of those big smiles to melt away any frustration that he might have brought upon you and turn that into compassion. Only one of those moments where he was riddled with guilt and shame, to be able to turn it into appreciation and gratitude for what you've been given in this gift. Eli had a heck of a work ethic. I got to work with Eli, and he was a hard worker, and it only took one day on the job to know that. It only took 1 minute of talking to him to know just how much he loved Julia. He wanted to tell everybody about it that was willing to listen, and even some that weren't. He bragged about her to everybody. Only one interaction with Eli, and he knew what an amazing gift he could be to so many other people. If only he knew what we knew. If only he saw what we saw. If only he felt what we felt. We all know Eli struggled. We all know the pain that he went through. I suppose we're supposed to be grateful that he's at peace, but unfortunately I don't think it's that simple. I do know that I'm grateful for the love that he showed me over the years, the laughs that he gave me, most often at his expense, the compassion and love that he taught me of how to work with a brother like Eli. I'll absolutely cherish every moment that I was given with Eli Lawson. I don't know why he was brought into my life, but I know what he did to me. I know what he did for me. I think the greatest gift that Eli gave me was the ability to work with another man. I too had the lovely honor of sponsoring Eli. And I'd ask the rest of you to raise your hand to see who else did, but I don't want to do that. Eli chased after this thing. He wanted it. And he tried every brand of recovery he could find. He didn't just look one place. He looked in every single nook and cranny of AA because he absolutely wanted what every one of us have been given. And for that, I'm eternally grateful for what I've been given. Thank you, guys.
family. My name is Mario. Eli, I miss you. I miss working out with you, buddy. I miss those big debates about what looks better on a man, a big chest or a big back. And we would go back and forth through our whole workout debating this. And we would leave the gym yelling at each other. It's the back, bro. No, it's the chest. That's what they look at first. And then we would just start laughing. It doesn't make sense that you're gone. But I understand the demons that you were fighting, because a lot of us in this room are fighting those demons too. I will keep fighting for you, bro. I'll keep fighting for you, brother. You had a smile on your face that would make me feel like everything's okay, and everything is. I can't thank you enough for gluing two men together. I want to thank you, Eli, for sharing your family with me. Because of your warm heart, you have brought your father-in-law, Richie, into my life, and that for alone has made me a better man today. Eli, you probably already know this, but I have you with me. So guess what, brother? I'm going to tie your ass to my gym bag, and you're coming with me no matter what. Eli, please make sure heaven has got those real 45 metal plates, none of those plastic stuff. I love you, brother. And Eli, it's the chest.
Tell me, what does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I'll bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do up in heaven? All your days filled with love and light. Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive?
You'll be fine by dusk cloud, I'm telling you, baby. These things eat at your bones and drive your young mind crazy. But when you place your hand between my collar and jaw, I don't know much, but there's no weight at all. And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. 'Cause if I say I miss you, I know that you won't. But I miss you in the mornings when I see the sun. Something in the orange tells me we're not done. To you I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I'm poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees, and dew, how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. I need to hear you say you've been waiting all night. There's orange dancing in your eyes from bulb light. Your voice only trembles when you try to speak. Take me back to us dancing this wood used to creep. Just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees, and dew, how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. To you I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. How I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. Please turn those headlights around.
Damaged goods, I'm complicated. I sure do know how to tell a lie. Some people say I ain't worth saving. Sometimes I think they're right. It ain't no secret, I can say it. I get it wrong most of the time, but looking at you right now, baby, you're the one thing I got right. Cause someone else would've walked away, someone else would've never stayed. Sure as hell someone else would have left me a long, long time ago. Oh, someone else would have called my bluff, saying I ain't even worth their love. No one else could have loved me like you do. Thank God my someone's you. I wasn't perfect, you were patient. I didn't know what you were waiting for. I swear I must have found an angel sent from heaven's door. 'Cause someone else would have walked away, someone else would have never stayed. Sure as hell someone else would have left me a long, long time ago. Oh, someone else would have called my bluff, saying I ain't even worth their love. No one else could have loved me like you do. Thank God my someone's you. Damaged goods, uncomplicated. Sure do know how to tell a lie. Someone else would have walked away, someone else would have never stayed. Sure as hell someone else would have left me a long, long time ago. Someone else would have called my bluff, saying I ain't even worth their love. No one else could have loved me like you do. Thank God my someone's you. Thank God my someone's you.
I wanted to, I couldn't do it.
I'm going to attempt to read the long form of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace, taking as he did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen.
Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road. And although this wave is stringing us along, just know you're not alone. 'Cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. 'cause I'm gonna make this place yours.